evening, because a lot of questions keep coming up, is to learn how to go from this, which is an audio cassette, or in this case, we have all these reel-to-reels that Ron Barnett has donated to the club, and the idea is to get these transferred. So I wanted to do this so that really we could teach people how to do it, how to go from this, to a CD. And it's interesting, I was thinking what I was going to use for a sample. Faye asked me if she could transfer if I could transfer a short song that she had here on a disc. I said, yeah, I'll make it as part of the demonstration tonight. So we're going to transfer something real that will be useful. So, but let's get started. What we first need for all of this is we're going to need a computer. I'm going to talk about the PC because I know the PC. So if any of you have, well, let me get an idea of raise of hands. How many people have PC computers? Good, good, good. How many have Macs? Okay, well, good start. They're the ones that are the better dressed ones, right? Anyway, I'm going to talk about PCs. You should know your Macintosh better than I do, so you'll kind of follow along and you'll at least be able to understand what I'm doing, and so you'll be able to translate that into where you can find it on a Mac. All right, let's get started. Before we even start with the equipment or with doing anything like this, let me close these down, because before we start with the programs, we need to know what we're going to do with the equipment itself. Ellen, I want you to zoom in here. Now, one of the reasons I'm taping is that I plan on coming out with a tape that I'm going to make available to people that need it, that want it, and then maybe we'll do something with it later. But I want to get maybe just have one circulate around the club. But I want to do a tape, and this will be part of it. If you can zoom in close here, right? Every computer, well, I can't say every computer, most computers came with a sound card. If you're able to play back music, sound, anything through your computer, you've got a sound card. It's normally located on the back. It might be part of the motherboard, which maybe you might zoom back a little bit. Can everybody see where I'm pointing? So at least okay, it may be part of the motherboard, which on this one is up here. It may be on a separate card slot, which is down here. But you've got to have a sound card in order to do what we're doing tonight. But like I say, if you can play back sound, if you can play back music, you've got a sound card. So the question is, what you need to do next is to look on the back and locate the input. It will be marked, they're usually marked in symbols. It'll be a symbol that looks like a microphone, and then I've never quite understood what they use for a line in, but it's sometimes like those sound, do we have anything up there? No, but it sometimes looks like half moons, semicircles going in a certain direction, and I never could figure out which direction they wanted it to go in, but it isn't hard to find. Yeah, microphone, and
it also says line in.
Some of them say line in. Some of them use a separate line in. Others use both the microphone and the line in on the same plug. So here's what you have to do once you locate that jack. If you only have one, then you're going to be plugging it into that one jack. If you have two, one that says microphone, one that says line in, you want to go into the line in. Now, what do you go in with? Well, here's where you're probably going to have to visit your local Radio Shack. I think it's cheaper there, but anyway, and pick up a cable like this. This is a mini plug. It's a stereo mini plug on one end, okay? And I guess for my purpose, I need to hold this still, don't I, honey? Okay. And RCA connections on the other, which they've standardized today as red and white.
What did you call the first?
A mini plug, mini jack, actually. Stereo mini jack. I think it's 1/8 of an inch. I think it's also called 1/8 of an inch jack. If you go to a Radio Shack and you say, I want to plug into my sound card, unless the person doesn't know what a computer is, they ought to know where the cable is. But basically, this is what you're looking for. They come in different lengths. You want it long enough to go between your computer and whatever tape deck you're using. Now, what I'm going to be doing tonight not only works for reel-to-reel tapes, which is what we are going to be working with transferring the library, it works on cassette decks, it works with even a turntable, phonograph, as long as you have a preamp in that turntable, you have an amplifier or a preamp that's giving you enough signal to go into your sound card, because most sound cards do not have enough power, a preamp in them to handle a signal that's coming from the magnetic head of a turntable. The turntables are like a different, kind of a different thing, but you can still do it. If you have a turntable, you bought one at a store that you can just plug into your amplifier, it doesn't need a preamp, you can obviously do the same thing and copy your records to a CD. Okay, so what we're going to do is now plug in the 1/4-inch jack into the audio input of the sound card. And, okay, and you also want to make sure it's in tight. You're actually making several connections. So when you plug it in, make sure it goes in all the way. Sometimes the mistake is made, you plug it in halfway, you think you're in all the way, and then you can't get any sound out of it. The other end will go, if I can do this without dropping stuff, will go into the back or into the output of whatever you're using. I brought a cassette deck this evening because it was smaller than bringing one of the large reel-to-reel machines. This says line output or play. What does it say? Play line output. And that's what you're looking for. The standard is, and although we're not dealing with stereo here tonight, or we may be tonight on this one, normally red is the right channel and the white is the left channel. And they're actually coded today. Older equipment, they wouldn't be, but in the last, what, 10 or 15 years, maybe longer, they've been coded. So there we go. All right, so we've got the red and the white plugged into here. Now, now let's identify what we were talking about before on the computer. You know, maybe if I sit down, it won't block the screen. All right, the places that you find your input controls, it can be very simple on a PC. You see that? Can everybody see down in this area down here? Okay. All right. You see this little speaker here? It's down where the clock is, and if you double click on this rather quickly, you'll bring up a menu that looks like this. It always defaults to the play, but if you click on Options, Property, and now you see you have a choice of playback and recording. Click on the recording, and now this tells you what, and this will look different in every computer. It's all based on what sound card you have. But there's a microphone auxiliary, but here's what we're looking for, line in. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to turn off the microphone. I'm beginning to think that okay, let's see why, I don't know why that mic was selected anyway, but we'll find out in a second. Also, on this particular computer, I have two sound cards, and they're identified as one up here, another one down here. I don't think I have three. I think that refers to something to do with maybe a plug-in for a electric piano or something. But anyway, let me get back to, which one do we have? I think that's the one I had, right? I hope. All right. All right, now, okay, there we've got the line in, there we've got a volume control, and it's selected. This is the control you'll use in most of the recording programs to adjust the level going into your computer. Now let's start with, let's take this tape that Faye had, and let's just see what's on it. I had brought a radio show in case we didn't have something. Now, what program are you going to use to record with? All right. Yeah.
On the audio, record low rather than real high, so you can erase it digitally than it is to, you can't reduce it.
What's that again?
When they set the record level, it should be better than too low.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in a second. In fact, I'll demonstrate that. And
I always found it easier to plug in.
Yeah, you need to plug.
Just use the actual physical volume control.
That'll work. That'll work if you have that on a machine. It gives you another volume to work with, so you can use your headphone out, but also the line out. It's basically coming from the same place. The only thing is, with the headphone, they sometimes put a volume control on there, which might give you more or control. I doubt if you can go any louder. It probably is as loud as the line out, and it goes down from there. But okay, what I want to show you also is, okay, another place where basically where this is coming from is also if you go into control, your control panel, and you go under sound, and under hardware, well, let's skip the hardware. Let's go under sound. Let's go under audio. There we go. There's your sound playback. That's whatever card you're using to play back on. Sound recording. This is another way to get to where we were getting by just clicking on the clicking on that speaker. Now, if you click it once, you'll bring up the volume control for the playback, and that's probably what you've used most of the time when you want to adjust your speakers on your computer, like that. Okay. Now, what program? All right. One of the things I did is I wanted to find a program that was free. I haven't had a chance to play with it a lot, so I'm not that familiar. Many of you may actually know it better than I do. It's where did I think, am I covering it up? It's there it is, Odyssey, the top right-hand corner. It's a free program. You can go online now when you get home and download it. It doesn't cost anything. It's one of those programs that's free. It actually has a lot of features, but again, because it's free, it does have, I won't say limitations, but it doesn't have maybe all the bells and whistles that a program that you'll spend $50, $100 on might have. The other program that I've used for years, and it came out of Cool Edit, which was also a free program, then you could upgrade it for about $40 or $50, and then Audition, Adobe bought it, and it became Audition, and that's this program. Okay. There's an awful lot of things you can do with this. For what we're going to do tonight, we probably won't need, you know, a tenth of them, but it has a lot of nice features. It also just has a nice user-friendly, yes?
Before you go on too far, you might ask whether anybody's got any questions about the hookup and the lines and all that.
Okay. Anybody have any question about what we've covered so far? Yeah.
Is that player into the electrical source? Your cassette player there?
It's plugged into an electrical outlet.
This is a plug just hanging there on the
No, it's
side.
here, it's not plugged in, huh?
Oh, thank you. How did we do that? We set everything up this morning and this evening, I should say. All right. Well, yeah, we were just going to pull it out of the Yes. Okay, now. Amazing. I see a couple of lights on. Okay, yes. I wanted to see if you were paying attention. See? A good speaker always tests his audience, right? Okay.
Maybe I should have said high-tech expert so fast.
Human like everybody else, you know. But the idea is you correct your mistakes before they get out, right? Okay. What we're going to do, let's clear this. This, by the way, I was playing back earlier. This is, many of you might have heard it.
Dinosaur who can't handle a 6-note note.
Anyway, it's a bunch of science fiction shows from our collection. All right, let's start with a new project. For CDs, okay, let's get to, I guess we might as well get this out of the way quickly. A CD, we're dealing with a WAV file. I know a lot of you have been collecting radio shows on MP3s, and that's an entirely different program. And I'm hoping to bring in an expert on MP3s this year sometime who will talk about encoding rate and why to do it and what they mean and all of that. And I don't even want to touch that tonight. What we're going to be creating tonight are WAV files. WAV files are what you end up using to burn an audio CD. Yeah, you can use an MP3 to burn it, but an MP3 is a compressed file, and we've thrown away something. With a WAV file, it's I don't want to say it's uncompressed, but it's a pretty high quality file.
When you buy a CD in the store, that's a WAV file, isn't it?
When you buy an audio CD in the store, that's a WAV file. That's correct. Audio CDs, your sample rate is 44,100. They have to be stereo. Some programs convert it before you burn, but many times I've found other programs for burning a CD, if you don't record it in stereo, can't handle the the file. Other programs will just convert it automatically and not even tell you that they're doing it. And then 16-bit is again a standard that we've been using for audio CDs. So we're going to leave, and that's the default on this. So we're going to leave that here. Yeah.
What does that 16-bit mean? What is that 44/100?
It's a sample, it's sampling, and I'm an analog guy, and that's why I'm going to bring in a person that is a little younger than me and grew up maybe in the digital thing. I work with digital, but I really understand analog, and I'm still reading up on digital. I mean, I've been doing it for years, but digital is different from analog in that again, it's like a computer. We're dealing with ones and zeros, we're dealing with on and off, and it's a matter of being able to put all that together and create sound. And this is a sampling rate. And so the more you sample, the better the quality.
So the 44/100 is a standard?
It's what we use to create audio CDs today. There are other reasons you might want to use a higher level, but you don't need it for an audio CD. And I'm not even sure if some of those would work with an audio CD. I haven't researched that. It's just that's the standard I found when I was starting to burn audio CDs. That's what I was told is what we were using, and it's gone from there.
Observation over here.
Yeah.
You're 100% right. The higher that is, the better quality you get.
Right.
So if you're going to do symphonic music, you're going to need a higher sampling rate. It reproduces everything
But
better.
if I use the higher than 44/100, I'll get better sound, but it'll still play on a normal machine?
Yes.
Yeah. If you remember on audio tape, broadcast quality was 30 inches per second, 15 inches per second. Home use was usually 3 3/4, 7 1/2. Then it became 1 7/8. Audio cassettes are 1 7/8. As you're traveling at a slower speed, you're pushing a lot of information into a short amount of space. And that's linear. Digital is kind of like that, except you're sampling information. You're either getting a lot of information to get all the finite, the little intricacies of the information, or you're just grabbing what you need just for that. A good sample, I guess, a good thing to do someday if you want to try it out is if you make an MP3 file, compress the daylights out of it, and then do one that has almost very little compression, and take a high quality piece of music, and then listen to the difference. See if you can hear it. Some of us may not be able to hear it at all, but if you have good speakers, good system, and good ears, you should be able to hear that difference. But let's not.
But that's exciting. We are.
Okay, now, I'll start with Audition. I could just as easily start with I could open this up too.
It's called Audacity.
Audacity, right, which is, I believe this is it here, isn't it? Oh, it's here. There we go. Audacity. Let me start with a new project there. I don't want to close it. I want to new. There we go. All right. I don't know if I changed the input for this thing or not. We'll find out in a second. All right, so the first thing we would do is make sure we actually hear something. Oh, and I do have speakers, of course, hooked up to the output of the sound card, which we're down here, but that's kind of a given. Okay. Now, let me see something here. Okay, there it is. Yeah, with Adobe, with Audition, you don't really get anything until you start the program. Yeah.
Where did you put the CD, the blank CD?
The blank CD is right now nowhere. It's still in the. What we're going to be what we're doing now is recording onto the hard drive of the computer. So let me start the tape. All right, level. Let's talk about level for a second. There is 0 dB for digital, and in some cases it's the same as 0 in an analog signal. Other times it's a minus number because of just the way the digital world is, I think. With a regular tape recorder, you could peek into the red and you wouldn't hear too much of a problem with it. It wouldn't be too much of a problem. In digital, you get up into here and you're going to hear some very bad distortion, and we'll try that after I finish playing this. You think the song runs about 3 or 4 minutes, so the level that you want, you never want to get close to 0. I read an article that actually said keep it down about, they said 30 to 40 dBs, which is down here. And I wrote the person that wrote the article. I said, you serious about 40 dBs? He never got back to me. But I tend to ride it, I guess, what, about minus 15, at least no higher than, let's say, minus 10. Because every so often you'll notice the volume will peak a little bit. And if you're way up here, you don't want that volume peaking into the red. The thing about digital, with an audio recording, with audio tape, you have the noise of the tape, the surface noise. With a record, you have the record surface noise of the record, and that's the signal-to-noise ratio. And it's about, oh man, over the years I've forgotten those figures. What did it used to be, about 20 dBs, something like that, 20 or 30 dBs, I think, for the analog. With digital, it's, what can it be, about 100 dBs? I mean, it's incredible. With digital, there's almost no, there's no noise level. I mean, you can be way down. You can be recording way down here, and later you can bring that volume up, and there's nothing like below it that comes up with it. You do that with an audio tape, you record way down in a low level, and you bring the volume up, suddenly you hear all this hiss of the tape. But you don't get that with a digital recording, which means you have a lot more flexibility in that respect.
But right now, aren't you recording the hiss of the tape?
Well, I'm picking up whatever was on the tape. I mean, yes, there are ways of getting rid of that, and I'll see if I can touch on that a little bit. But whatever's on the tape is going to be picked up and recorded, but you're not adding anything. That's the difference. If we were recording from this tape to another tape, we would not only have the sound of this tape, we would have the noise level of the tape we're recording it onto, which is one of the reasons why, as we traded over the years in reel-to-reel tapes or even cassettes, and this is why when the digital came out, I loved it. But when we worked on reel-to-reel tapes or cassettes, every time we got a copy from somebody and then we made a copy of that tape, we sent it to somebody else who then made a copy of that tape and sent it to somebody else, the person who was down at the end of the line got a tape that had an awful lot of noise in it and distortion. Well, not maybe distortion, but noise. Okay.
Fred, is this a stereo tape or are these 2 channels? Because it looked like it was almost the same sound print for each side.
You tell me, Faye, is it stereo?
I have no idea it was recorded in studio in here.
Because
Okay.
just eyeballing it.
I'm feeding left and right channel in. That's what we're seeing here.
But even though you set it for stereo, most of our old-time radio sources are
Oh, the radio shows you're dealing with will be monaural. So what you have to do but the audio cassettes, all the audio cassettes have 2 tracks. So even if it's monaural, your equipment is picking up the 2 tracks. If you have a monaural player, like a portable player that just has 1 output, it's not stereo, then what you need, I didn't bring that, you need a Y connector, which is an RCA plug. Let's see how you want to do this. It depends on which way you're going, but you basically want to bring the 2, okay, if this had only a single output on the back, instead of left and right channels, if we only had 1 channel, then what I would buy is a RCA, a connection that had a Y connection that had 2 RCA female jacks on one end and a male jack on the other. What I'm holding in my hand are male jacks. The female jacks are the jacks that you see in the machine. So by having 2 female connections here and a single male connection at the end, I would then plug that single male connection into the channel or the single output of my tape deck, and I would feed the same signal to both the left and right channel of the computer. And that's
Use a mini jack to a mini jack?
you'd have to get a mini jack that had a male jack, a monaural jack on one end. Well, actually, a mini jack depends what your output of your of your, I know what you're saying, if they make it. If they make it. Many times you're just not going to find a lot of these things, cables made the way you want them. And you want to match the end of this connection to whatever your tape deck is. If you're using a tape deck that has the little mini jack, then you want a different cable altogether. But most stereo equipment use RCA jacks.
Radio
Right.
Shack is a pretty good source of getting a wide variety of plugs that have different endings. So
Yeah, they used to have a lot more. They've cut back, it's surprisingly, and the guys don't even know what they're selling anymore. By the way, you don't need to spend the $10 and $12 for the gold tip plugs. I've never bought them. I've never had them in my studio, and I've talked to a lot of people, a lot of engineers. Nobody's ever said that they make a big, big difference in audio. Yeah.
I think the key to this, though, is if you do have a single output and you put it on a computer, it's going to come across as only one channel. It's
Right.
never going to divide it. And that's what you found. That
What I've found, and I've got a
if you
single.
go mono to mono on a computer, you're going to get just the left side or just the right side.
No.
It's very hard to split
No,
that.
with my software, I plug it in single jack from my source single jack to the sound card, two mini jacks, and I get two identical left. I get a left track
Well,
and a right track that are both identical.
Then you're feeding a stereo signal to a stereo signal. Your mini jack is probably stereo, whatever you're coming out of. I don't know what you're playing out of, but you're obviously doing that. Now you can, with equipment like this, and like I say, this program allows you to take a mono signal and turn it into stereo. You can convert stereo to mono, so no matter what you have, it's just like when I started recording. I don't know if you've looked at the camera or not that Ellen's using. I'm wired. No, that didn't come out right, did it? Okay.
Back on that coffee.
I'm wearing a wireless microphone. One of the things I don't want to get too far off the track today, but these cameras, even though they have microphones on them, are not designed to pick up my voice. They're designed for ambient noise. They're designed, you go to a park, you want all the screams of people and the sounds of the atmosphere. That's what those mics on those cameras are for. Unless you're about 2 feet away from a camera, trying to record someone speaking is not what those mics were designed to do. Even though they will do it, they don't do it well. However, the output of this wireless receiver, which is over there by Ellen on the tripod, is monaural. And in order to have both left and right channel going into that camera, I put an adapter on the plug there. Don't anybody touch it, but at the very front where the microphone is, you might see a little silver plug, and there's I'll show it to you later, and that's an adapter that goes from mono to stereo, because otherwise I'd have had only one channel on this videotape. When I brought it into my editor, I'd have to take that one channel and turn it into 2 channels, so that when you play the tape on a stereo system, my voice wouldn't just be coming out of the left or right channel. Okay, now let's see what we're going to do with this. We know that we started the tape with kind of a false start because I wanted to check to make sure that it was recording, and we can just come in here and just quickly, I knew I needed this. Okay, we can just quickly delete that little piece there. Now this program, and I know the, was that pronounced Odyssey, also lets you, I guess, zoom in. But here we can just zoom in very close to where the music starts. And we'll do this. Now we'll come over here, look at the tail end. Is there any question about what I'm doing? I can't see you, so you're going to have to say something. I'll turn around in a second. All right. Basically, I've cut this to leave just a little bit of breathing room, not a lot at the opening, because we want the music to start almost the minute the CD starts playing. And but now the level might be a little low. Let's play this. You're right. It does look mono as far as the signal. Okay. In this program, I can go up here to Effects. I can go to Amplify. I always take it down. That's right. I just installed everything on this computer, so I usually go about. Let's see. Where am I looking for? Here we go. I always take 98%. I just never like it to be 100%. And I can calculate the level. Well, let's do both channels. Yeah, there was a difference in level between the left and the right channel. What I've just now done is set it for the highest level that I feel is comfortable, and we'll see what happens. Okay, and let's check that one right there. On the table, my hand was from the start. Okay, even though we're pretty high on that level, we haven't peaked into 0. We're not distorting or anything. And this is what we can use now to burn a CD. Okay, now, if you have a CD, the other thing you need on your computer, I should have talked about equipment, you need is a CD recorder, a CD drive. I don't think a computer is being sold today that doesn't have a CD drive. Obviously, they're probably a DVD drive. DVD drive will burn both CDs and DVDs. Do I really need to spin this thing around? You know what a drive looks like, right? I mean, on the computer? Okay. So what I'm going to do is place the cassette in the drive. This is on the cassette. The CD, this is supposed to be blank, even though it was written on. We'll find out in a second. Now, I can record directly from this I can go to a CD directly from this program, or I can save the file. Okay. Let's go here to save as. That's a good file folder. I know where that is. And we'll just call it, was it Phase Music, I guess.
Now, Fred, the volunteers that you're going to have recording Ron's work, you want them all to save it onto the hard disk, right? Not just burn one copy. You want to keep it.
Well, you're going to fill up your hard drive. We've got to, Chuck, you and I should have a meeting, and we should decide how we're going to do this. At the moment, I think what we want to do is create CDs. We talked about not adding any equalization or noise reduction or anything. Unless those people that are doing it, I don't see John. John, are you here? Is John here this evening? No. Unless we've got another engineer that knows what he's doing with it, let's just leave it as flat. What we do is once it's on CD, anybody that knows at this point, we can give it to Chuck or myself, can take that CD, pull it into our computer, apply the noise reduction that's necessary, and then burn another CD. The thing to do right now, we've got so many shows, so much material that we want to be able to get it off the tape into a computer and burn a CD. And then, if it needs cleaning up, we might develop a number of people that know how to do this, and they will receive that CD and start cleaning it up. And I think it's almost like a production line. It's going to go a lot faster, because if you're going to have to, you're going to have to record it, clean it up, and then burn the CD, it might slow things down. Yes, Tim?
So, I mean, if I'm doing something at home that doesn't have anything to do with the club, and I'm using a cassette deck like you got there,
Yeah.
if I know the tape has been recorded with Dolby C,
Right.
shouldn't I use Dolby C to play it back, to record it on?
On your player, switch it into Dolby. This tape, I don't think was marked. I was thinking about that after I got it. I see nothing on here as far as whether this had Dolby or not. What setting did I use? I had Dolby turned off on this because I didn't know if it's Dolby or not. I didn't hear a lot of hiss, and the highs didn't set. Yeah, to answer your question very simply, yes. If it's recorded in Dolby, play it back in Dolby. Whatever you would normally play it on, play it that way. Now this, one of the nice things about, but again, that's what we can talk about later. This program and a lot of these programs have the ability to speed up or slow down the information. Like I transferred, one of the series I've been started to work on was the NBC University Theater, 1 hour shows. And I transferred one of the shows, and I'm listening to the the production, and I'm thinking, gee, those actors sound like the voice is a little low, a little bassy. And then I noticed it ran an hour and 2 minutes. And I said, that's a 60-minute show. All right, it's sustaining. There was no commercials, but they did run a public service, or they talked about the show. They were basically running 59 minutes and 30 seconds. So I said, all right, let's see what happens if I speed it up a little bit. And I just did a little bit of math to try to take it to 59 minutes and 30 seconds, and then tested it, and everybody sounded better. The actors sounded like the voices that I thought was right. So one of the things is that when you get it into a computer, we can play with the speed of the tape. But again, if you don't know what you're doing, or you're not quite sure, you could mess it up. So let's.
Now, is that a feature that's in the Adobe that wouldn't be in the Audacity?
We can look at Audacity and see if it's there. I think it is. I saw an awful lot of features. In fact, we should look at Audacity too.
Slow down here.
Well, where you find this over here, if you want to. Now, Audition, they bundled this. Now, I don't know if you can buy it by itself. They bundled it with with all of their software, and I think they've actually phased this program out. What are they using now? Sound? Do you remember what it? Huh? Sound Lab? I think that's what they have now. But I don't know if you can still buy Audition by itself. It'd be nice if you could. If you get an old copy of Cool Edit, it's the same as this with just a lot of. This has a couple of more features, but Cool Edit works very well. Yes, Faye.
Sorry to interrupt. That, I just now remembered, Fred, that CD is not blank. I just now remembered what that rhyme is. So that's
Okay, well, we would find out the minute I tried to burn it. Okay, a couple of ways of burning. You can burn from that program. We've opened this a few times. Or you can use a program designed just for doing that. And okay, when you bought your computer, it probably came with a lot of software. Many of it might have already been installed. Some of it you had to install yourself. If you go out and you buy a CD drive, they're going to give you software. Usually it comes with software. It's usually Roxio, or it's made. It used to be like several companies, and they were all like under one big roof. I think it's Sony owns everything now, but there's Nero. That's about the only other competition. There's Nero, which is a good program. There's Roxio. There's Recorded, I think. A very good program that I got with my duplicator was, and it works without the duplicator, even though they didn't realize you can do it, is Primo. This program right here, it's just a nice straightforward, see right away it tells you it can't find the robot which has the CD burner that I have connected to my other computer, so I just say fine, and the program opens up. And it even opens up with a kind of an easy to use screen, user friendly. Or we can go to something like this and try to figure out what all these symbols mean. Well, that means audio. Actually, it tells you what it means. Audio disc. And we just add the file by right-clicking. And there's the file we want to add. And all I have to do now is, this is the drive that is my burner. And if that's a blank disk, now Faye, don't worry, if it's not blank, it won't ruin it, it just won't record. But let's see what happens. You say it's, right here, not blank, not ready. Okay. So in that case, we take in fact, my computer is smarter than me. It opened up the drawer and said, not a blank disk. As that's the thing with computers. They want to show up humans. You know, they're supposed to be our, computers are supposed to be the servant of humans. No way, it worked the other way around. Just ask any bank teller, you know. But, okay, what CDs to use? I like Verbatim. I've always said stay with a major brand. Verbatim makes a very good CD. Tayuden is one of the best CDs you can buy. I don't think you can buy it in the store. I could be wrong. Usually have to order those through mail order. Nothing probably wrong with Sony and TDK and all of the others. Actually, in the CD world, I don't think there's much of a problem. DVDs are a different story. You start playing around with a lot of different brands and DVDs, you're going to find that not everybody can play back the DVD that you've made. On a CD, I think today almost all CDs have a pretty universal as far as where they'll play back. And
I've been using Verbatim for about 4 years, and
Yeah.
they're perfect. I
I've been smoking Luckies for 4 years. Yeah, it's, no, really, and Rick's right. They're good. I found them a long time ago. We were playing around, but that was because I was playing around with the DVD world. I wanted to find a good one. But even the early days of CDs, I know we had some problems, but those days are gone. DVDs are now going through that era.
Verbatim DVDs are pretty good, aren't they?
Verbatim are excellent. I was at their plant. They make them all over the world, but they assured me that they're made to their specs. I very rarely find bad ones. I mean, we send out thousands, and we get almost none back because of the disc being bad. Usually it's somebody can't play a DVD-R, period. Okay, we've now got a blank in there, and if I hit the record button, it tells me it's ready, recording, and because this is so short, I would say within the next maybe a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes, we'll have a CD burned.
It's not in real time then?
Oh, no. A 60-minute CD will take me about 3 or 4 minutes to burn. Okay, what burns speed? If you notice here, I'll get back to that after this finishes. See already, we're 54%. And the length of this was 3 minutes and 14 seconds, and it's done. Now all it has to do is finalize. That speed will depend on the speed of your burner. When we first started burning CDs, they were 1 and 2 times. I mean, it used to take a half hour to burn a CD. It's done. The speed. All kinds of people on the internet will argue about this, and I think there's some validity there. Many times, if you're creating a master, you don't want to go at the fastest speed. I did that for years, didn't know I was breaking any kind of a rule, but a lot of people like 16x. Some people will still tell you to go lower than that, but the speed of these burners today, this one's a 48, 48x burner, which means it burns at 48 times the speed of the normal playback. So we're talking literally minutes if you're burning a 60-minute disc. The idea is that if you're burning something very quickly, there could be errors, and running that laser over the, or having the disc spin at that speed and the laser going there, it could miss something, it could miss writing something, and there could be a problem with it. You've probably burned as many CDs, I guess, as I have. Have you ever had a problem with burning at maximum speed?
No, I haven't. But,
you tend to burn at a slower speed, I'm guessing, right?
No, I actually tend to burn probably at the fast speed because, again, in old-time radio, what do you really read?
Well, it's not so much that, it's...
This document has a lot less...
Yeah, it's not so much that, it's the idea that if it drops any information, it might make the disc unplayable. In many cases, it won't even, or it'll be a jump or something. The computers are so fast today, the burners are so fast, I don't think that's an issue like it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. If you want to play it safe, you can burn it 16 times. I noticed that some of we have towers, and I've talked to the people I bought the towers from. They tell me to burn my DVDs at 8 times, even though they can go 16 times, and they say I can go no problem at 52, but they said you might want to slow it down maybe to 48 times on the CDs. If you have a problem, that's the thing. If you have a problem burning a disc, slow it down. That usually solves the problem. Okay, we've got to yeah, you could burn that way and verify. I found I was getting some false negatives, I guess, at one point, but here the setting is, on this one, is that I could set to record and verify. I could verify only. I could go back and I think I could verify now what I just recorded to make sure that the disc is okay. So now what it's going to do, it would help if I closed it, it's going to look at the disc, check the file that's on it, compare it to the file that's on the computer, and make sure that all the zeros and ones, all the bits are there exactly as they were in the original. And if it was, it'll tell me it was good. If it isn't, it'll tell me no, and then I would know that I had to redo it. Okay, it's verifying. I slowed it down a little bit, so it's going to take just a little longer than it did to write. but not that much. We're at 23%, 27%. And
So the input has to be at real time, but the burning is whatever speed you pick.
right. So you're playing in. So like all of these reel-to-reel tapes, we've got a half-hour, 1-hour radio show. It's going to take you, okay, it's successful. So we've got a disc here that's identical to the file that I recorded, and in fact, we could play it back just to prove we have. Actually, we've got a player there, I guess. Is that? But you can also play back through.
That'll be the real proof if it'll play.
You know what? That's probably you've got a point there. Why don't we? Anything will play on a computer, almost. Almost.
If your computer calls Hal.
No, I call it a lot of other things at times, you know, but push, yeah, I'm reading, push to open, right? And Jack, obviously, which button? Because you know this thing better than I do. There we go.
Convinced?
And that's the volume?
Yeah, that's volume. Right here.
Oh, a little button. Okay. So there we go. Okay.
What song is that, by the way?
Lay your cards on the table, but touch it.
Okay, Faye, I'm going to put that inside this. Let me give you back your tape. Now I'll take some questions. Maybe I'll backtrack a little bit because I want to make sure I've covered everything that we want to cover. A second. There you go. Yep, you're welcome. Thank you. Gave me something.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You've got people going from tape reels
Right.
to CDs.
Right.
Those CDs are then given to people that are going to turn to CDs.
Well, okay, here's the way we're going to be doing it as far as these radio shows. I brought in,
Because you can only get
two shows. Okay, a CD holds 80 minutes of audio.
Some of them say 72, so.
Yeah, but you can only
So-
get 2 shows on.
74 to 80. It depends on, most of them today are 80 minutes, 700 megabytes, right? 80 minutes. The shows are usually half-hour shows or 1-hour shows, which basically then you're not filling up the whole CD. You're putting an hour's worth, or we're going to be putting an hour's worth of information, or 1 half-hour show, 2-hour shows, 4 15-minute shows. You know, think of it like an audio cassette. Whatever a C60 will hold is what will go on a CD. The only thing is you can't put a 90-minute tape on there, because if it's full 90 minutes, you're short by 10 minutes. But most radio programs are either 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour. Later they had segments, but we're just talking about the average length of a show. Okay, so we're going to be burning CDs with 2 half-hour shows on them. What we're getting from Ron are series. Like I just finished recording, I think it was 16 shows of the NBC University Theater. I noticed I gave out series of, and I can't remember what I gave out now, but there were other series that had like 20 episodes of this or 30 episodes of that. They're Ron has them mostly in chronological order, so you can almost just play them back on the tape and go and be in chronological order. But if they're not in chronological order, and your hard drive is large enough, you can record the entire series and then go back and put it in the order in which it should be, because he's logged in those shows. They usually has the date next to it. And you can, when you save it, let me get back here to, well, you saw what I did here. Wrong program. Even in this program, save project as. You can give it a name. You don't have to call it track 1 or track 2. You can call it Gunsmoke. Can't tell where I'm typing with that in the way, so I thought. you know,
Technical he's good at, spelling well.
yeah. Gunsmoke, you know, 1.557. And I'm not so sure about those slashes. I would say probably yeah, I know. 5, yeah, 57. Okay. Yeah, you have to avoid certain symbols, decimal points when you're giving titles, although I think decimal points work. They just, because as long as you, yeah. But for the most part, dashes instead of slashes. But you can create the name for it. It's not going to show up when you finally finish your CD. It'll just say, you know, track 1, track 2, track 3, but at least you know what you're dealing with. So now you can, and if you establish a system when you type this in, and this computer I've just really started working with, I had to reinstall everything, so I may not have a lot of files, but what I'm getting at is it sorts, what do we have in Captain Zero? Well, all right, not many, but clip 1 is above clip 2. What I'm saying is it will alphabetize or numerically sort your clips. So if you call everything Gunsmoke and then put a date in and use the 0 in front of single digit numbers, it will sort that according to the in chronological order, which makes it very easy to go back later and find things. Then, like I say, you build your CDs in chronological order if you want, which makes sense. And then, if they have a problem, if you notice there's a lot of hum, or there's static is something we can't do an awful lot with. I don't know. Do you have anything that gets rid of static? I don't. But crackle, yeah, crackle. I mean, I can get rid of. I'll show you what we can do. I'll show you what we can do on the. Okay. We want to talk about what happens when you record too loud. Let me go back. Let me back up a second. I want to show about levels, what to listen for, what to be aware of. Let's go back to this program since. Now, you know, I try to pick programs that are free, but on the other hand, I'm thinking you might want to do a lot of this for your own use also, not just for the club. You might want to invest in a couple of programs because you'll find that you'll be either more comfortable with it, you'll find it has some features. You don't have to go out and spend hundreds of dollars, but sometimes a program that you do buy might give you a few more features than something that's free. On the other hand, this program may give you everything that you need. I haven't worked with it yet. I just downloaded it and I saw what it would do, and I did see that there are a bunch of effects here. Amplify, bass boost. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do here. I think I even saw noise reduction, equalization. Okay, let's see if we can record, which is red. Okay. Okay, I'm getting levels, but I'm not getting, no. I think this goes back to when I changed the input. Let's try. Looking at this, let's try this one. Let's play back. Let me go to a program I know is working. So far, I haven't, other than one that had a speed problem, I haven't come across anything, but that's only just at the very beginning. You know, I haven't gone through that many yet. I wouldn't go from reel to reel to cassette. I go from reel to reel to, yeah. Yep. Here we go. Okay. Recording at normal level. What happens if I bring the level up too much?
drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step.
This doesn't let me bring it up much louder than that.
Official police file. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force.
Let's do one more thing. What was that?
They send bad.
What, I'm going to purposely send this thing higher than. Let's just overload this. Let's set it up at about a peak level at 150, if it'll go that high. And let's see.
To an actual case and an official police file. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It won't go that high. I can't overload it. However, did you hear the distortion when I had the speakers too loud? That's basically what you're going to get if you record too loud. And believe me, in trading, I'm sure all of you have had audio tapes that you've collected or traded with other people, and you get them in and they sound just like that. And it means somewhere, somebody along the line just overloaded that level. They thought they were trying to get it as loud as they could to keep it from picking up noise, or maybe they weren't paying attention to the level, whatever. Well, that will, in digital, I mean, it really is even worse than that. So you want to, that's why you want to keep your level down. You can always bring it up later if you recorded it too low, but you definitely want to keep it from going into the red. So whatever method you're using, whatever levels you're using, just make sure it never peaks into the red, because if it goes into the red, that is distorted. You notice the tops of these, if you zoom in close, I should have brought some recordings I've gotten from some of my clients. Okay, and this is no joke. All right, this is kind of close to a sine wave. I mean, but it's I get real close, you can actually see the tops of those. They're rounded, okay? If we had distorted it, it would be like cutting those off, and you would just see a flat line up here. And that's, when you see that, that's distortion. And I don't know of any program that can get rid of distortion. I don't think they make it. It may be, maybe the government's got something somewhere, but we sure don't have anything that's close to that.
But the only information that graphic is giving us is basically the volume level.
There are people that claim they can read them. They can actually read a sine wave. I don't know. You can, I'll tell you, you can actually, I'll tell you what you can read, what you can see out of this. I mean, I do it myself. I mean, you can see spaces, gaps, okay? Sometimes a gunshot or a loud sound effect will peak up there. If you're recording somebody, we do a lot of lectures, and I have to clean up a lecturer, and he coughs a lot or he clears his throat, and I can sometimes just spot where that is, because suddenly I'll see something like this, and it's peaking way up, and that's like, and I just go there, and sure enough, and I can just cut that right out. That's what we do for a lot of these tapes. But with the radio shows, we're not going to be dealing with that as much. But yeah, you can get kind of, as you're, well, it matches, yeah, it kind of matches what the sound is. I mean.
Remember, thousands of Americans are switching to extra mild Fatima. Next time, insist on the best. King size Fatima. But
can you read a word from there? I can't. Maybe there are some people that can, but I sure as heck can't.
Otherwise you could probably get those scratches out. You couldn't get those frequencies out.
Now, here's the.
I think it is just the volume.
Here's the thing about this program, and I've. Let's see, where is it? It's View. All right, you see this? This is what Adobe tells me I can go into, and I can find, let's say there's a speaker, let's say I'm talking and somebody slams a door over my voice. How much time have we got, Ellen? Because that tells me.
Why don't we
48.
I'm at 48 minutes?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up shortly. But this program would allow me to look at something. Let's say while I'm speaking, a door is slammed. Well, you know, you might say, you can't cut that out because it would be cutting out what I'm saying. I can tell you what you can do. Yeah, you can. But this program will actually show you that door slam. And according to the people at Audition, and I want to have them teach me how to do this, they claim in this view, I can go in here and grab that little piece of sound and cut that out and leave everything else in. I successfully did that once on one piece of audio, and I tried to duplicate it several times, and I can't. So I need more training on this part of this program. But that's one of the nice things about it. It has that ability to do it, where you can actually go in and separate the sound. But can we take out, I think this one sounded pretty clean, but if we had a hum in this thing, this program allows you to, let me get back, well, there's a couple of ways to filter it out. See this? You can go in here under noise reduction. We can get rid of, I'll leave that up there a second. If you've got a record that you're transferring, a transcription disc, has little scratches, little pops, this one does an excellent job of just taking those clicks out. It doesn't affect the sound beyond it. Well, how you set it makes a big difference, but it can just take out those clicks. Yeah, I'm sorry I let, yeah, Dave left. Somebody brought some transcription discs in for me to transfer for them, and I gave them both the raw footage and the noise reduced footage, discs, and you could definitely hear the difference there. We can do that some other time, but oh, what's it got? Pop eliminators, hiss reduction, noise reduction. Noise reduction, you sample the noise that you want to get rid of, and then you run the entire noise reduction program over your file, and it basically eliminates that little bit of sampling. So you can take out hum, you can take out, that's basically what you use it for, is a constant sound. In this case, I was taking out scratching. The scratch, you know, the sound of a needle on a record when it just, you've heard that before. I was able to get it down, couldn't get rid of it completely. You start taking too much out and suddenly the voices sound like they're underwater. You start hearing garbly sounds. It's a lot of playing with it. That's why I say when you start doing that, yeah, I would say if you want to get something like this and play with it and learn what you can do, you'll teach yourself, because it's not a straightforward, it's becoming an art, not just a science. In other words, you actually are playing with it. It's kind of like an artist that cleans up a picture. They don't press a couple, well, my wife does that. She takes things out of pictures, puts things into pictures, but even though all the software has all these bells and whistles, in many cases she has to decide, make selections, do things herself, and it's not just taking it, turning on the program and making it remove it. Our client still thinks that I run their lectures through a computer and it takes out all the coughs and takes out all the, and I keep telling him, no, it's, I said, I'm editing. I said, I'm going through there and spending some time on this. I said, then I can clean it up as far as getting rid of hum, but I said a lot of the sounds that I'm working with, I have to physically go in and cut these things out, just like you can even cut out a click. I can go in there and take clicks out of a record, not even you have to use that. Okay, let's just wrap this up with any questions. Yes, Rick?
Well, in reference to this, I use SoundLab 2004, and it's got an automatic cleanup. It analyzes, once I've played it in and I've got it on the hard disk, it analyzes it and says, okay, you got hiss here and you got clicks and pops here, you want me to do something about them? And I always tell it, yeah, go ahead. And
it gives it its best shot, right? And
it gives it its best shot, and I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I can press yes on it.
Yeah, and it probably, like I say, it's the next program that Adobe went to. I believe that's the Adobe program. Isn't that the one that's SoundLab, right?
Yes, SoundLab 2004.
I think that's where they went when they kind of stopped upgrading this program. Am I right? Yeah. Yes.
If we were going to buy a software program, which one would you recommend?
I like Audition. In fact, I like 1.5 better than I like the 2.0.